You are. Hello. How are you?
Fantastic. How are you?
Good. And we're just about ready to start. We got 2 minutes here. So we're doing launch your business with customer focused marketing tonight. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. So did you have a nice holiday?
Yes, I did.
Well, that's good. Did you stuff yourself?
Sure, but not really. We just had, yes, I had two different Thanksgivings. So,
Oh,
but I was pacing myself, so I didn't actually stuff myself, which is nice.
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of people where they have to go to both parents' houses for
Yep.
Thanksgiving. So,
That's it. I mean, it's mostly because my like husband and his family and my family. So
uh
that's why we have two.
yeah, we always have dinner around 2 o'clock, so the girls can go to their in-laws at 5 or 6 o'clock.
That's plenty of time.
Yeah. So, are we ready to go here? I'm gonna
Mhm.
open it up. Here we go. I think we have 43 people registered.
Okay.
We haven't really started doing district-wide webinars yet, so that should come in January, I guess, when we're doing actually, it's the whole region, not just the district.
Okay.
So we should start seeing a lot more people.
Yeah. We get some pretty good crowds.
Yeah, certainly better than we used to get when we did them all in person.
Mm.
So, so welcome to those of you who are just logging on. We'll wait a couple minutes and then we will get started. Our topic tonight is launch your business with customer focused marketing. So hopefully that's why you're here. Um, I think you'll find it a very interesting topic and hopefully one that will help you with your business. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and get started with the score slides. So again, welcome. And we're happy that you're interested in spending an hour with us this evening. Um, Before we get started, I want to tell you a little bit about SCORE. My name is Anita Kayat. I am a SCORE mentor. I've been in the Cleveland chapter of SCORE for years. And Cleveland is one of approximately 100 and no 250 chapters. We are all across the country. We are the largest network of free volunteer small business mentors. And hopefully, no matter what stage your business is, we ought to be able to help you, because if we don't have somebody in Cleveland who has the same industry background that you're interested in, we can call on one of the 11,000 other mentors across the country, and we're most likely to find somebody who has the industry background that we need. Our mission is to foster vibrant small business communities, and we do this through mentoring and education. We hope that you, as a small business owner, will have all the support you need to thrive and be successful. These are some statistics from our last year. Um, the activity that we have helped within the Cleveland area. Our services are free, mostly because we are partly supported by the Small Business Administration, but we also get a good portion of our funding from local businesses that want to help small businesses succeed. So here's a glimpse at our website. If you go to the website, you can check and see what other workshops we're going to be doing. You can find a mentor, or you can take advantage of all the local resources and the national resources that we have, which include a lot of templates and articles to cover just about any topic you'd be interested in. So I am going to stop sharing, and I will turn it over to Lindsay Sims, who's our speaker tonight. And we're excited always to have her. She's a wonderful presenter, and the material is always fantastic. So go to it, Lindsay.
Hello, everyone. If you've been here before, you know the routine. If you have not, then you guys have a bunch of brand new names in here. So I'm going to assume a few of you haven't been here before. So let me give you the rundown. When I do a workshop, especially here on Zoom, and I know we're broadcasting also live on YouTube, so let me pull that up as well. I like to use the chat to like talk to you guys. So if you can in the chat, tell me who you are and where you're from, because I'm also here in Cleveland, Ohio, but I'm not from here. So if you want to tell me where you're from, like, or if you're here, and I'm also fond of knowing that. But I would love to know, because I'm going to use you and your businesses as examples in the workshop today. So go ahead, use the chat, give me that information. Tell me about your business, tell me about yourself. And you can also use this as a method of like networking in the chat, because it's just a great way of really getting to know everyone and seeing what's up. So, and if you're watching on YouTube, I know there's at least one person watching, you can do that in the comment section, because I can actually see the chat in YouTube as well. So, hi everyone. Like I said, I'm Lindsay. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we can jump right into it. I want to make sure I am sharing my whole screen, because I am actually going to do a lot of jumping back and forth between the workshop and the internet, because y'all, I like to really communicate based on what you want to know. And I know a lot of you want to know how to do these things and how to do them in a really automated fashion. So we're going to talk about launching your business, but with AI being a part of our lives and a part of my everyday life, I would love to show you guys some tools that I use to actually help to both automate, but then also to make the entire process of creating a funnel for your business easier. So again, tell me who you are, where you're from, put that in the chat, and I am going to use you guys as examples as we go through and show you some tools that I use that make my life a lot easier as I am building out my funnel. So as it says here, I am the Ohio Grow with Google Digital Coach, and I am also the founder and CEO of Predictable Results Marketing. In January, I plan on launching my new brand. I'm very excited about it. And so I won't tell you about it here, but the next time you guys come to a workshop, I will probably have a new thing on this slide. It's really just a transition because I've stopped doing services for my business a long time ago. I just didn't get to the point of changing over to kind of what we currently do, which is more educational services, or not services, but just education that's free. You're from Arizona. I actually lived in Tucson for a few years. See, this is the reason why I tell everybody, tell me where you're from, because everyone who tells me where they're from, I'm like, I was there. I'm a roamer. I've lived all over the country. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the marketing funnel. We're going to talk about awareness, consideration, conversion, and advocacy. And we're going to talk about how to make sure that you are doing something at every stage of the journey to make sure that your customers are working with you, that they are having some sort of relationship with you, because one of the things that we have to acknowledge when we're doing marketing is that people will find you whenever they find you. That is just how it works. So someone's going to find you on Instagram because their friend recommended you, or someone's going to find you in a mall because they passed you doing your thing, or someone is going to find you on LinkedIn. They're going to find you in a variety of ways. And so we just have to have some methods to actually make sure that people can to know enough about us when they find us to actually know, like, and trust us. So we're going to talk about that journey. Now let's jump into this with one of my favorite quotes, which is great marketers don't make stuff, they make meaning. And that is all we're doing here is we're making meaning out of the businesses that you guys have. So you have businesses, you have things that you're working on, and we are going to be making some meaning. Now for Alyssa, I think it's Elisa. For Elisa, we have a business that is very much so focused on Alzheimer's research and mental health research. That has a lot of meaning already. But for some people who maybe haven't been touched by Alzheimer's, I'm not sure exactly how that is the case. But if someone who hasn't been touched by Alzheimer's or mental health issues, then Elisa's job is going to be to make meaning for them. And so we're going to talk about how to make that meaning. Through the workshop, we have the example of TW Tote, which is started by Shalon and Sherika. They are two business owners out of the DC area. And when they founded their company, they actually founded their company out of passion. They were not business owners. They're not serial business owners. No one in their family was a business owner. They actually started their business because Shalon had a whole thing that he wanted to accomplish. You'll get to in a second. And he had no marketing knowledge. They had no real product knowledge. They just wanted to do something fun and great for Shalon for his workday. Now, we're going to use them as an example too. I'm going to use Elisa as an example as well. But if you're here and you want to tell me about your business, go ahead and use the chat to tell me about your business so I can use you as well. So the first thing we're going to talk about is this storytelling aspect of marketing, because your customer wants to be involved in your story. And for Elisa, I'm going to use another business owner as well that I know who works in a completely different industry, but also has a good portion of the work that she does focusing on Alzheimer's research. And the reason why I bring that up is because that's a huge part of her story. But as a business owner, because she doesn't do Alzheimer's research, she doesn't do what you're doing, she doesn't really want to tell that story. And I have been working very hard to convince her that it is a part of what she needs to tell. And then second, we're going to focus on that building relationship. The reason why we focus on the story first is because people like people who feel like them, right? So if you give someone a story that resonates, it is going to build trust. And that's what we really want. We want to build trust. And then from there, we're going to talk about how to influence that buyer's journey. Because yes, we want to build trust. Yes, we want to get people's attention, but we also want to influence them along the way. So what is the marketing funnel? What is the buyer's journey? The first thing is this process right here. You may have seen something like this in a marketing class somewhere, or you may never have seen this before in your life. But there is a standard 4-step process to getting someone all the way through from I've never heard about you ever to I'm going to buy something from you. The first one is awareness. They have to become aware that your thing exists. But in addition to becoming aware that your thing exists, before that, usually they have to become aware of a problem that they're having. So whatever it is that they're having a problem with, they have to become aware of that. And then they have to become aware of the fact that you solve their problem. And then the consideration phase is where they are considering you against maybe other options that they have. They're looking at the other things that are available, the option of not doing anything at all, the option of using you, the option of trying to DIY something for themselves, and they're trying to decide what they're going to do. And then conversion is the process where they decide they're going to do something, hopefully that they're going to do whatever you're offering. And then loyalty is the part where you get to keep them as a customer forever because, well, hopefully forever, because they've decided to come back to you again and again for what you offer. Now, if we look at this from the other side, which is the side that we're on, it is how do you reach those customers? The first things first at awareness, how do I even reach people? And then second, how do you help them find answers? Because if someone is making the choice between you doing it themselves, finding some other product, or doing absolutely nothing, they have a lot of questions, and we want to answer those questions for them. And then how do I turn someone who has really decided that they like what I do, they're interested in me, how do I turn them into a customer from there? And then how do I get them to come back after they have been a customer once? So we are going to talk about this process. The first thing is, how are we going to even reach people in the first place? Now, I will say I've run this workshop several times, and every single time I run it, the first thing people say is that the awareness phase, people reach them through word of mouth. And so I'm not even going to bother to ask you guys. I know that that's how you're going to say people reach you, is by word of mouth. But if there is some other way that you think people find you, if you could put it in the chat, that would be great. So how else do you think people find you? Are they searching for a specific term? Are you doing advertising? Do you do a lot of speaking engagements and people find you through speaking engagements? Okay, or community events. So if you're doing a community event and people find you at community events. So that is how people become aware of the thing that you offer. When you have that sort of method of awareness, it's really good to know what that is, because if you know what it is, then you can think about how to build your funnel around it, right? So how do we build our funnel around that? Now, the first thing we do once we know how they're going to find us, whether that's that community event or if they find us because of word of mouth, we need to identify the who it is that we're looking for. Because if you're talking about a community event, there's going to be a ton of people there who aren't necessarily your exact customer. So we want to be thinking, how do I build a profile around the specific type of person who I'm looking for? So you have to think about who this person is, what your brand offers that person, and how do we communicate that both in person and in the internet. So let's identify your customer first. So Elisa, if it's not Elisa, let me know. If it's like Eliza or something else, I'm really good with phonics. So if you put it in the chat, I'll pretty sure I'll be able to help you. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually open up I'm going to open up one of my favorite software that has a really good AI inside of it, because a lot of people don't realize that, your good friend Canva actually does have AI attached to it. And so because it does, I love this. It's going to ask me my 18 different ways to get into Canva. Let's see if this one works. Okay, so we're going to get into Canva, and we are actually going to look at AI from Canva. Now, why are we jumping into AI before we don't even know what we're looking for yet? Like, what is it that we are looking for? Well, the thing that we're actually looking for is a profile on I was saying it right, on Elisa, there we go. On Elisa's customer. I'm going to say it 18 different ways now. On Elisa's customer. So if she is going after, let's see, she's an independent research center specializing in Alzheimer's research and mental health research. So Elisa, who is your customer? If you can tell me in the chat, who are you trying to find? Who is the demographic, psychographic, geographic, and behavior of the people that you're trying to either have fund your research, or people who you are trying to get in as participants in your research? Because what we can do is start building out a profile based around those people. If you have an idea of who your customers are, then you can start building out a profile around that customers. So specifically, she said she's looking for caregivers between the ages of 30 and 80 who are caregiving for people who have memory issues. Carla, you can feel free to go ahead and get in on this too. So Carla, you want to tell me what your business is and who your customer is? I can talk about you too. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually type out, and we're going to ask for some demographics, psychographics, geographics, and behavior. But I'm going to stick with the two that are the hardest, which are psychographics and behaviors. So I'm going to ask the AI. So I'm going to go in here and click on this little button that says Magic Write. And you're going to describe what you want it to write. So I'm going to ask Canva's Magic Write for some specific information. So I need help describing the psychographics of my target audience. They are, and then I'm going to type in what Elisa said her audience was. So caregivers between the ages of 30 and 80 years old who are caregiving for people with memory issues. I want to know what challenges, we're going to be specific, what challenges they face and what behaviors they have in common. Now, this might be a little bit challenging because Canva does have one tiny little thing that it doesn't like to do, which is medical information. So if it can give us this information without using medical information, it might be able to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit generate and see what it gives us. So it might give us information, it might not. It does, like I said, get a little persnickety when it comes to medical information. But look at that. Oh my goodness, this is exactly why we ask for the help of an AI. It's not that Elisa couldn't come up with this information on her own. It's just that sometimes when we have to come up with information like this, we get a little stuck. Like we get stuck on the idea of, oh, I don't really know what the problems are. I don't know what their issues are, but this is one of the best things that I've seen in a while. So they have a unique set of challenges. One of the most challenges is the emotional stress that comes along with someone with memory loss. This is especially difficult for someone caring for a loved one. This can be emotionally draining, struggling with someone who has this condition. Common challenges are managing their time. They're juggling multiple responsibilities, work, life, and family. This can lead to guilt and frustration. Okay, I am guessing. See, there we go. Elisa is like, I have been stuck on this for years. And in 10 seconds, we got an AI to help us figure this out. So when we are looking at our customer, and when we're talking about the fact that she's going to community events, now when she describes her business to someone verbally, or when she starts creating content, she can actually start using some of this language that Canva is laying out for us, right? So despite these challenges, they have a bunch of common behaviors. So they're extremely dedicated to care and support for their family. They're highly organized and detail-oriented because they're keeping track of medical information. And also many caregivers are empathetic, and they put themselves in the loved one's shoes and make sure that they are giving them the care that they need, right? This is all amazing information. This is giving us those psychographics and that behavioral information that can be a little hard for us to kind of step out of our own zone and get into. So if you're looking at this and saying, Lindsay, how do I even get started with describing my customer, you just have to know a little bit about them in order to get some information from a good AI like Canva. A lot of people forget that Canva has an AI, and I'm always happy to remind them because it is so good. Now, why do we care? We care because images like the one that you see here on the right are really important. So if you look at this image, this is an image of young urban people carrying that TW tote bag. Now, I haven't even told you about the bag yet, but the audience for the bag is actually very, very specific. It is a mid-30s female who is single, living in the city, college educated. She works in fashion. She's interested in cooking and wine and travel, and she loves to shop locally. This is a really good customer persona. And if you're Elisa, now you have a lot of information to start building out that customer persona. So instead of just trying to use anybody's images and any sort of information when you are creating your social media content, when you're creating your website, when you're creating your brochures, when you're creating all of those collateral pieces that you're going to be giving out at that community event, you don't have to use generic ideas anymore. You can get very specific about who this person is. And if you're at the very beginning of your journey, you can even start designing your colors, your graphics, and all of your messaging around this person. Because the more you can match what that audience member is and who they are to what you offer, the better. The closer those things can get, the better. Now, this is where we reverse it. So now that we have an idea of who the caregiver is and who this person is, who is Elisa's customer, now we need to talk about her brand specifically. And she said the name of her business is Insight Clinical Trials. And we want to talk about who you are, who you want to be, and what she stands for. Now, it's relatively obvious because of the research on Alzheimer's and mental health, but that does not mean that there isn't more information to be said. And so what we're going to do is create a brand position statement that combines the two things. It talks about who you are, what you offer, who you're serving and what differentiates you from other people. This is where we can kind of blend everything together and really start talking about what that brand promise looks like, what a positioning statement looks like from the perspective of the customer, instead of just from the perspective of Alisa's brand or Carla's brand. So you're going to say, for audiences who face this specific challenge, my company provides this product or differentiator because brand promise. Now, I'm going to ask both Alisa and Carla. If you want to, Carla, please go ahead and join us. I would like for you to give me, I know who your audience is, Alisa, so you don't have to give me your audience, but we know who their challenges are because we just had Canva give us some challenges. What I want to know is what your offer is. And the same thing from you, Carla. I want to know who your audience is for tax prep. Who are you trying to approach? What their challenge is, and then what your offer is. So when you say tax prep, are you working with small business owners? Are you working with families who want affordable tax prep? Are you looking for people who want custom plans? Are you going to people's houses and doing the tax prep? Like, what is the little difference that you offer that is different from your big names or your Walmart or whatever the other people are that you're going to be competing against, right? So same thing with Alisa. What is it that you're offering? What is that difference that you're making? And then for both of you, if you could tie it into a personal mission, that would be amazing, because this is a part where we get to tell a little bit of our story along with the story of the customer. So if Alisa started this business because her loved one had Alzheimer's and she was a caregiver during that process, yay. If it's because she watched her mother as a caregiver when she was caregiving for her grandmother when she was a child, yay. What is the story that is because I know what it's like from firsthand experience to experience this loss and the lack of control that comes with being a caregiver for someone with mental health or with Alzheimer's diagnosis. And then the same thing for Carla. What is that brand promise? Is it because you know what it's like to not be in control of your own taxes, or you know what it's like to feel like you're stuck at the very last minute trying to figure out how to use the software on your own? What is that reasoning behind it that you're certain you can help other people? So, okay, Carla's got me. She's got small businesses, home daycares, Uber drivers, electricians. I love that. You know what? When you have something like Uber drivers, that's a really good profile for you to start building a brand positioning statement around, because a lot of them are 1099 employees for the first time, and they have no idea how to actually file taxes when you're a 1099 employee. And a lot of other gig economy workers are like that. They don't know how to file their taxes when they're a 1099. And so I would come into Canva and do a very similar thing. Since we have this Uber driver, but we might want to know what their concerns are. So I'm going to have Magic write me a little bit of a behavioral description for them as well. So can you, I'm going to do the same thing I asked before. This help me describe the emotional state. I'll just use plain language of an Uber driver who is there after driving. Okay, so now we have this idea of an Uber driver who doesn't know how to file their taxes, and they might be filing them for the first time. And we'll see what it gives us. This is going to be, okay, as an Uber driver filing that they're overwhelmed. The process is complicated and confusing. It can cause anxiety and frustration. So these are all really good words. And again, we didn't have to come up with those words. So if I'm Carla, now I can say, for Uber drivers who are feeling overwhelmed and frustrated at the idea of filing their taxes on their own, CMA Taxes LLC provides, and then you're going to say what that provides: tax prep for small business owners like you, because, and then you're going to add in what that because is, right, Carla? So you're going to say, because I'm a small business owner too, and I think we all deserve to have a fair shake of taxes, right? What is that thing that you're going to offer them as a because? And I love it. See, I read it and then I can't say it. Elisa, there we go. Elisa has Insight Clinical Trials provides no cost quality medical care because families dealing with Alzheimer's do not need to go through it alone, right? There we go, right? So that is a great, I love that, because families with Alzheimer's, families dealing with Alzheimer's do not need to go through it alone. Now, the only thing I would add to that, Elisa, is that I would add in that audience at the beginning. So I would say, with, the Insight Clinical Trials. So I would say Insight Clinical Trials focuses on caregivers of people with memory issues, like something like that, who feel overwhelmed and unprepared, or whatever those key phrases are that we want to use. And then you say, we provide no cost quality medical care, right? So you want to make sure that you're leading with the customer's problem. That's the reason why we start with the audience. The who are they? Because your customer doesn't care about you until they know that you care about them. So if you start out talking about this Uber driver who is completely challenged and frustrated, and if you start out talking about a caregiver who is overwhelmed with all of the medications and all the things that are happening, and then Insight comes in and helps them with that, then that's the way to make sure that positioning is always stuck with that human person, always focused on them, okay? So we're going to start out looking at TW Tote, because what is TW Tote even? Well, it's a lunch bag. That's the cool thing. So for working professionals who need a stylish and functional lunch bag, TW Totes provides fashionable, insulated vegan leather totes, because everyone deserves a luxurious and functional lunch bag the entire family can use. Now, this is great because what they're saying is that this bag isn't just for a man. It's not just for a woman. It's not just for an adult. It's for anybody in your family who wants that stylish, luxurious, and functional experience for their lunch bag. Because you saw those bags and they do not look like lunch bags. I actually own one myself and they are quite lovely. And so it's a great experience to have a TW tote. And what are you going to do with this information now that you have a really good brand statement? And for Carla, yours, I made it very specific to Uber drivers, but you could take this statement and make it for anybody in the gig economy, right? So you can make a statement that says, on your Facebook page, on your Instagram, on your TikTok, you can say, I work with gig economy business owners, right? That's your best way of putting it. I work with gig economy business owners who don't want to face doing their taxes alone, right? Like, the terror, the fear, the frustration of doing their taxes alone. That's your best way in if you're going to use it on social media. And the same thing for Elisa. If you're going to use this on social media, that statement that we talked about with the caregivers who are overwhelmed and frustrated because they have so much going on, you're offering this no cost solution, right? So you're offering this secondary option for them that a lot of them just don't know is there. This is where you can use this. And if for both of you, actually, online marketplaces and directories are a great way for you to get your name out there. A lot of people do not realize that you should and can actually still be in the yellow pages. You can be in just about any directory if either of you belong to any associations, making sure that the association has this kind of description for your business instead of just, we do tax prep or we do clinical trials, because a lot of people do stuff related to Alzheimer's, or a lot of people do tax prep in air quotes, but we need to know what you do specifically, because the more specific you are, the more you can call your customer out by name, the better. And then in addition to that, putting this sort of thing on your website is going to make your website stand out like crazy for a lot of reasons. First of all, because you can change it. And also you can add in all of those other different groups of people that we're talking about, right? So if we have the gig economy employees, and then Carla made a list for me, which I absolutely love. So if you have all of these other types of businesses on your website, you can actually list out all of those businesses and what their challenges are. So you can have multiple pages on your website that are like, okay, this page is for gig economy people, and it describes what you offer for the gig economy people. And then it's one for people who have traditional small businesses. Here's what we offer for traditional small businesses. This is for people who are, wait, side hustling, they have a W-2 and a 1099, or a W-2 and a small business. And now they have these extra tax complications, right? So you can have an actual page on your website just for those people. Same thing for Elisa. If you have the caregivers, who are people who would be participating potentially in these clinical trials, but if you have other people, or if you have donors, if you have volunteers, if you have other people who are participating in your organization who might be called in on your website, you can then have different pages on your website dedicated just to what you're offering those people. This is where you want to get really specific and really clear on your website about the different aspects of your business, okay? So yes, and a page for your mental health, of course, because if you have the Alzheimer's work that you're doing, then you might also have, again, all of the pages that are related to the different audiences for the mental health patients, right? Mental health is, as I'm sure you know, not a one-size-fits-all category. And with a lot of people destigmatizing, thank God, destigmatizing all mental health issues, more and more people are getting specific about theirs, right? And they're saying, well, if I have a bipolar disorder diagnosis, I want to go to somebody who really understands that diagnosis. Or if I have a long-term low-level stress reaction anxiety, that I want to have someone who is very good and specialized in dealing with that, right? So there are a lot of different, there you go, depression, PTSD, anxiety, and schizophrenia. If those are the ones you work with, then you want to make sure that those are listed not just once somewhere on your website, but very clearly on your website. So we're going to also talk about your Google Business Profile. So y'all, I'm telling you, it's one of the most underutilized resources. I can't talk and type at the same time. So it's one of the most underutilized resources, because it has the ability for you to put up your products and services. And so you only have your one little description, and it's like 230 characters or something like that. But then in addition to that description, you also have your services that you can offer. So if you offer services that are for mental health screenings, or mental health services for, and then depression, PTSD, anxiety, schizophrenia, you can actually list those things out in your services as well. You can add in products. You can add in yes, you can add in products, and into your products, you can include productized services. So if you have packages for people, same thing for Carla. If you have packages for people that it's like, this is my package for gig workers, or this is my package for people who have a W-2 and a side hustle. This is whatever the packages are that you offer. If it's time specific, this is a 2-hour consultation, this is a 3-hour consultation, whatever those time packages are, you can actually put those into your Google Business Profile as a product. And then that way, when someone Googles you and finds you, they can see your products listed directly there inside of your profile. So they don't even have to go to your website in order to know what you offer. And both of you have location-based businesses. And so you should be in a Google Business Profile somewhere, because the reality is you have a geography that you serve. And so if you are like, but Lindsay, I don't want people to come to my house. You do not have to have people come to your house, especially if you are like many of us small business owners. Like, I am a location independent business, meaning that I work from wherever I'm working from. Like, I happen to be working from my home right now, but I work from various other places. I don't want someone trying to find me to work with me at my office, my UPS store office. No, that's not an office. That's just where my mail is. And so what I have instead is a service area. So what this service area does for you, it's not that it limits you. You can still get customers anywhere in the entire world. So wherever you can offer customers or offer services, you can get services offered in those locations. But what the service area does is that it helps you get found on the map near the locations that you have put in as a service area. So this is the reason why I said it's very, very useful for both of you, because I think it was Elisa who you said you were in Beechwood. And then Carla, you are in Cincinnati. And so both of you can then put in like Cincinnati, or I think it's Cincinnati and Hamilton County. I always get this wrong. I've been to Cincinnati. I've asked this question about 90 times, but I always forget whether it's Cincinnati or Columbus that's in Hamilton County. But you can select the county that you're in instead of just the geographic area, or you can do like me and put in both. So I have Cleveland, Ohio, Lorain County, and Cuyahoga County because I work a lot in Lorain County. And so I have Lorain County listed as one of my county areas. I could also put in Lake County because I do a fair amount of workshops in Lake County as well. And so if I was to start doing workshops in Summit County down in Akron, I would absolutely put Summit County down here as well. You can list out several service areas. The purpose of the service area, again, is to get you found on the map when someone is in one of those locations and looking for mental health services. And if you have those different products available, like I mentioned, you might also get found specifically for those products. So if someone is looking for a tax consultation and they are in one of those nearby counties in West Virginia, if you have that listed as a service area for your business, if they're in that location, then they can find you there. Very, very, very useful, right? So now we're going to move on from the how do people even find you? They find you the ways that we talked about a minute ago, all those different resources, but mostly if you're calling them out, almost like you're calling them by name. Like that's the reason why we spend so much time talking about that. It's so important. Call people by name. Hey, Uber driver, gig economy worker, small business owner with a side hustle, or whatever the thing is, calling people out by name. Caregiver, I always like to refer to the sandwich mom, the mom who is caring for a teenager and a person who is a parent with some sort of mental health or dementia. My mother is a sandwich mom, even though she is way too old to be a sandwich mom. And when I say that, I do not mean that in a derogatory way. I mean, I am the appropriate age to be my mother's youngest child, but she has a 15-year-old. And so because she has a 15-year-old, she's also caring for her mother, who is 92. And so, yeah. So the two of them, that between that 15-year-old and that 92-year-old, you can imagine my mother's got all the wits at the end, right? And so that is one of those very specific circumstances that you can list out on your Google business profile. Was I right for the first time ever? It is Hamilton County. Yes. So you can list that out on your Google business profile. And then the same thing for Carla. She could list out any of those specifics and then also list Hamilton County, that one city in West Virginia that starts with an S that's right across the river. I've stayed in it. I don't remember the name. And then Cincinnati itself. Like all of these different places you can actually put on your Google business profile to get you found. Now, once they have found you, they're going to start trying to find out more information. The best way that you can figure out what people want to know is through listening. Very, very fortunately, AI is also here to help us with that. And so when we're looking at the consideration, you want to figure out what's going to offer them value. Listen, learn, and get some pain points. Address their challenges, and then figure out how they're looking for things online. So I'm going to go back over to our trusty AI friend in Canva and ask a new question. So I'm going to keep going with Carla's Uber driver, and I am going to ask for Uber drivers, and the question I want to ask is for keywords. What are some key words they might use if they're looking for a tax preparer? Okay, so now we have this question, what are some keywords? So for those of you who are like, Lindsay, how do you do keyword research? If you're going to try to find some keyword research so that you can determine what their pain points are, and maybe you can start using those keywords on your Google profile, on your website, all of these places that they might find you, what keywords would you even be looking for? And then they give you a list. So we've got Uber driver, tax preparer, y'all, tax accountant for independent contractors, tax and self-employment tax expert, 1099 tax expert, rideshare tax professional. Y'all, I am loving this. And then rideshare tax deductions. That's another one because a lot of people are looking for those. And so these are all really good keywords. I'm not sure about Carla, but I would not have thought about rideshare tax deduction. That's a really good one that is super obvious, but it just wouldn't have been the first thing that came to mind. And so when you are looking for keywords, you don't have to figure it all out yourself, right? You can just come through here and ask, right? Ask for, how do I know what the keywords are for someone who has a parent with Alzheimer's, who is caregiving? What are they searching for? Ask the question instead of trying to figure it out. And then once you find out what they're looking for, you can then Google it. And this is a silly little thing, but I'm going to take one of these terms right here, rideshare tax deductions, and I am going to Google it. And what we do, why we're doing this, first of all, we've got things to know, mild deduction tips, translations, like there's translations for how do you write off taxes how do you write off taxi rides to work. That's hilarious. So now we have here the tax outreach. We have what's the mileage deduction? Can you write off food as an Uber driver? What are the tax write-offs for Uber drivers? Are rideshare expenses deductible? These are questions that people are also asking for. So you want to look at those searches, and then you want to scroll all the way down to the bottom and look for related searches, which is, can you write off Lyft rides, tax write-offs for Uber Eats drivers, average Uber Eats Uber driver expenses? Y'all, this is gold. This is gold for someone like Carla, because now she doesn't have to figure out what social media posts that she needs to write. She doesn't need to figure out. Now she can start answering some of these questions. And you might be thinking, how does Carla, what is she even going to do to answer these questions? But this is the crazy thing. Carla is in the internet. I know she is. She's in the internet with me right now. And so what she's going to do is go back over to our handy dandy friend Canva and ask it to help her. So I'm going to go to Magic Write again, because I love showing you guys how easy this can be. Can you draft a couple of Instagram captions for and then we're going to use one of these, can Uber drivers write off meals, right? So I'm going to put in answers to common tax questions for Uber drivers. Okay, so now we're going to ask it to generate some social media posts for us. And I asked for something specific like Instagram, right? And so this is what we're going to do. So we have, did you know that as an Uber driver, you may be able to deduct gas, maintenance? This is a great caption. And we know that they're looking for rideshare about food. They're looking for 1099. They're looking for tax deductions. If we can provide them with some of that information using our social media, using our website, using that information, then we can actually be the one that is answering their questions, y'all. And it even gave us a few tips for hashtags like Uber driver and tax tip. So these are ways for Carla to get herself found, y'all. This is what we're talking about. So making it really easy, really simple, using something that people don't even think about using, which is Canva as an AI to help you with that. Now we are here in Canva, and Canva does have the ability for you to create an image to go with this caption. So I am going to ask, so I'm going to enter, I always have to click on the plus sign and ask Magic Write, based on the captions above, what image or video would you recommend I create in Canva? And now we are going to ask it, what kind of images or videos do you think? Oh, I have to copy it. I forget that about Canva. Canva can't read what you just wrote. You have to tell it. So I'm going to say, based on the caption below, what types of images should I create in Canva? And then I'm going to put a colon and put in that caption, right? So now it knows what the caption is because I just copied it and pasted it for it. And so it's going to give me some ideas. So to create an engaging visual, you can include, and there we go, images of cars, gas pumps, maintenance tools. Additionally, graphics with overlays highlighting important tips, such as deduct expenses like gas maintenance, there we go, and talk to a tax professional to learn more. So it's giving us ideas about the caption and the image and all of these things. And then we can just take this, since we're in Canva, we can actually hop over to the first screen of Canva and just create a social media graphic. So we have up here social media. We could create a Facebook image. We could create a reel. It is amazing what you can do. And within Canva, you can actually plan it out. So you don't just get to create it, you can actually plan it out. But then in addition to that, if we're thinking, when does this term trend? We've got rideshare tax deductions. Let's look at trends.google and see when rideshare tax deductions is trending. So I'm going to say rideshare tax deductions. And that is a search term. I'm going to hit explore, and it's going to tell us a little bit about when. Oh my goodness, it's going to tell us that right now, today is one of the heights. Oh no, this is just today. I'm like, I always like to go with the past 12 months. There we go. I'm like, right now, that doesn't make any sense. But it's going to tell us that the highest time for people to search for this is the summer. Does anyone want to take a guess as to why it would be the summer? I can guess that's because that's when a lot of people start driving Uber, is over the summer, and that's when they want to know. The next biggest time is in February, which is when most people start filing their taxes. It's the very next time that is the highest is February. It's shocking that it is not closer to April. A lot of people would assume that people will be asking this question in April, but for Carla, should be very heartening. This should be something very happy for you, because right now, at the end of the year is when the third highest number of people are searching for this. And yes, Carla's like, I'm a professional. I figured it was February. But yes, I am not a tax professional. I don't know when people be searching for taxes, but now we do know that that term has a trend, and that term is trending in a time that makes sense for Carla. Now you can also look and see if there are other search terms that come up, and you can search any of those other terms that we had up here. So we had a bunch of other search terms come up. She can copy and paste any of these into Google Trends to get more information, right? So now that you have an idea, and we just went and, dug a little bit deeper for Carla, but now that you have an idea of what it is that people actually want to know, it's time to share your expertise. Like I said, Carla already knows. Look at this woman. She just said immediately, I knew it was going to be February. That's because she knows her business. And so she can communicate this stuff with clear, established expertise, right? She's going to use all of her social media, her email, her website to share this information. And if she is a member of an association, she might want to start thinking about doing some of the things that Elisa is doing, which is going to some of those community events and things like that, because that is going to be extremely useful for her, right? We want to remember, whenever we're using this strategy, we want to be sure to share, not sell. So on your social media, you're not going to constantly be saying, contact me for more. You're going to say, here's this information. It is completely free, right? I just want you to know what are the frequently asked questions for people who are Uber drivers and Lyft drivers. I want to show you what it looks like to calculate your deductions for the year. Like things like this, man. Think about how you can just share and build relationships, solve problems, have conversations, help them evaluate you. You want to make sure that if you are thinking about going to that next level and really using social media to do this sort of thing, everything we're talking about here is about paving the way to a conversion. We are making a conversation, we are building a relationship, but that's because we want them to convert and become a client. So how do we get them to do that? First thing, we want to make sure that we are sharing very timely calls to action and making sure that however it is that people can work with us is extremely streamlined. So for Carla, if I go back to this peak chart, we can look at the peak dates for the term rideshare tax deductions, and maybe even specifically during those dates is when, like, all the rest of this time she's going to be sharing. She's going to be sharing all year long. But at February 19th through the 25th, she's going to have the call to action, contact me today for help, right? So timely, meaning that she knows a lot of people are searching for it right now. They're interested in the topic. I'm going to put out a timely call to action. And then remember, if we're talking again, Carla, this is such a good example. If we're talking about someone who's searching in July, which you might have knew February was coming, but you probably didn't know July was going to be the top. If someone is searching in July, you may not want to tell them to call you right now for tax help. They're not thinking about filing their taxes because it's July, but you can ask them if they want to sign up for your email list, or if they want to sign up for a waiting list, if they're going to sign up for a consultation, right? Like, there's all these other things that you can ask in July now that we know that that is a timely time, okay? If you have something like discounts that you're offering, or exclusive offers, doesn't have to be a discount, exclusive offers, make sure that you're sharing those things out as well, because people love to make a really easy no-brainer purchase because there's an exclusive offer happening, right? And then I know that both the businesses that we're working with right now are service-based businesses. And so you have to have your purchasing process on lock. But for everyone who is doing an online purchase of some sort, you want to make sure that whatever way people can purchase, it is easy. The best way to do that is to have a combination of Google Analytics and whatever the software is that you are using for your website or for your purchasing. Making sure using your analytics that your purchasing process is working, because sometimes it's not. And then in addition to that, you have the option to do advertising. I personally don't recommend people doing advertising really early in a business, or even until you've gotten some of the stuff we're talking about here. Like, you've got your social media on lock, you started using Canva to figure out what to ask and who to talk to and how to write your captions. Once you've done that, you made sure that you're looking at the trends, you figured out when to schedule out the calls to action, that's when you can advertise, not a day before then. After all of that is said and done, once we've got a really good awareness of who the person is, they know who we are, we're answering their questions, we've made sure our processes are streamlined, we're giving them calls to action at the times that they need them, then we're going to start talking about loyalty, because both Carla and Elisa have businesses where people will come back. They will either recommend people to come to you, or they themselves will come back. So we want to make sure that we are building some sort of value after the conversation, after that initial purchase, right? That's what we want to do. We want to stay in touch as much as possible. We want to the best of our ability, offer absolutely stellar customer service. You do want to ask for feedback. And then my little tip, whenever you ask for feedback, implement the feedback. So if someone says, I love that you did X, Y, and Z, or Lindsay, I really loved your workshops, but do you have to wave your hands around so much? Like, if somebody says that, I would be like, oh, I guess I don't. Maybe I could put my hands down. But either way, when you ask for feedback, acknowledge that people have given it to you and figure out how to incorporate some of that information into what you do. And then lastly, try to delight people in an unexpected way. This is one of the best ways to actually get loyal customers. If you have something that you can offer people, for Elisa, I'm thinking about like learning what your caregiver's favorite chocolate is and making sure that you're providing it for them on a completely random and spontaneous basis, right? So this isn't like you're sending them chocolates every week or anything like that, but just like on a random Tuesday, 2 months after you met them, you're going to send them a Tuesday and a chocolate. It does not have to be random. You can plan this out in advance. And by sending them that chocolate, you send digital birthday cards. Birthday cards are amazing like that. But yes, giving them something unexpected. And even with Carla, I would say birthday cards tend to be oddly expected. So you might want to try to send them a half birthday card, like something like that, where they would be like, how This is my half birthday? That would be hilarious because it's so unexpected. It's completely out of the way. No one is going to see that coming, right? And then also, if there's a way, this is not something that I think everybody can do, but offer personalized programming, VIP, exclusive offers, things that are going to make people feel just that little bit more special, okay? And then, yes, half birthday cards are a great idea. Offer people the opportunity for you to get like these public praise moments, some sort of online review referral program, even if it's a contest to win something extra from you. So that sort of thing is always really useful for getting people more and more loyal. Okay. Now, really quick tip on reviews, and then we're going to wrap it up. I want to make sure that when you do start getting reviews, that you answer your reviews, especially your positive ones. Write something nice back. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Whatever it is, write something back. If for some reason let me say this first. If you get a review and it's stellar, write something polite back. Lovely. Do not try to offer incentives or advertise, right? Never, ever, ever do that. Please don't. It's a really bad idea. If you get bad reviews, make sure that you know everybody can give you a review. Customers, employees, affiliates, influencers. Reviews don't have to just come from customers. They can come from anybody in your ecosystem who can be an advocate for your business. Now, if you do get negative reviews, I will say the one biggest piece of advice I have is do not respond unless there has been a resolution. If there is no resolution, do not respond. If there's nothing to resolve, meaning there's nothing you can do about what happened, you may not want to respond. If you can respond in a dispassionate fashion, then do so. If for some reason responding is going to make you angry, don't do so. If the response is belligerent, it's a troll, it's someone who is having a very bad day, and it is very clear from how they are writing, do not respond. There ain't nothing you can say that is going to make that person's life any better, easier, faster, stronger. Let it go. Just don't respond. No matter how clear-headed you can be, don't respond. So, with all of that in mind, what I want you to do is to figure out what you're going to do first with this information. I told y'all at the beginning, my game is to get you to do the work, like to actually know what to do and to be very, very specific in knowing what to do. So for everyone who's here who has been hanging out with us tonight, I would love it if you could tell me in the chat what your plan is. Like, what is it that you're going to do with this information that you have? Because this information I think is pretty useful. So if there's something that you're planning on doing, what is your first thing? Start with Canva. Introduce yourself to Canva. I love that. Start working in Magic Write. You can use any of the AI. I'm a big fan of Bard, which is the AI that's offered by Google. I am not just saying that. I actually started using ChatGPT. Like I started using AI a long time ago. But in addition to that, I really have enjoyed it. It's just that now that everyone is using it, it's very slow. And so I like using Bard because it's really fast and you can check the data, check the information. So whatever AI you choose to use, go for it. Go for it. So first things first, quick recap. Awareness and consideration, y'all. Get to know your customer and then find out how you can help them. That's your first two steps. And then after that, look at Google Trends, figure out when you can provide a nice, timely call to action and provide that call to action then. And then after that, try to build a sustainable loyalty program. Make sure you're surprising them. It's something that they would have even thought about. It's always really useful. If you liked what you heard here and you are interested in learning more, over on YouTube, the Grow with Google YouTube channel has tons more information. You'll actually find videos from me on there as well, on the Grow with Google YouTube channel with just great information about how to grow your small business. There are certificates still available for people who are interested in switching jobs. So if you are currently a side hustler and you want to grow your skills, I personally have taken the digital marketing and e-commerce certification. It was amazing. I learned a ton from it. It's always great to grow your skills and learn more. And with that, thank you very much. I think I hit the 8 o'clock nail on the head. What do you think, Anita?
Super, fantastic. I think as you went along, you brought up a lot of questions and answered them. And so it doesn't look like we have to spend much more time here tonight. But I thank you. I'm actually thinking as I'm listening that I have a couple of clients who are working on their websites and I'm just going to send them a link.
Yeah.
So thank you
This,
so much.
no,
I
thank you. I appreciate it.
always love your webinars, and thank you to those of you who attended. I hope that you'll use the information that you received tonight and that it makes your business very successful. And we'll probably be seeing you again. So enjoy the rest of your